Mitakeapi. Hello, everyone. Many years ago, I think it was in the 1990s or so, there was a film that came out that was very, very good. And it was made about a small tribe of Indians in Canada. I don't know their tribal traditional name, but their reserve, as in Canada they're called reserves, in America they're called reservations, the same thing, just a different word. But this reserve was called Alkali Lake. And this film was telling the story of how this reservation became nearly 100% alcoholic. It's a very small reservation, and as such, things happen pretty quick. And the story gives a little history of how alcohol came to their people. And it's very sad because at the same time, both in Canada and in America, it was illegal to speak your language. It was illegal to do your tribal ceremonies. And you were only given foods from the government that were very unhealthy. And various tribes had agreements with their governments. Like I said, this happened in Canada too. And in some situations, there would be like just one store, or they would call it a trading post. So what a lot of tribes would do was they would buy their things on credit, and then at the end of the year they get money. Well, the money goes to the trader or the store, and he takes out whatever is owed to him, and if there's anything left, it goes to you. Well, these store owners, these traders, were very corrupt, and they would influence these Indian guys. Hey, try some alcohol, and then let's visit, he would say. And then he would keep giving them more alcohol. And then, of course, the Indians kind of liked it, so they would rather spend their money on alcohol instead of food for their family or clothes for their family. And things just went downhill from there. This film was shown all over the place in Canada and in America back in the 1990s. And when this film came out, there were some people from that reserve that came to our reservation, and they came before the tribal council. They told their story, they showed the film, and then they showed it in various places around the reservation so you could see it. And they left copies of the video in various places. The film is very tragic. It has a happy ending, but it's that kind of happy ending that makes you cry. It's healing. It really takes you on a roller coaster ride. Very emotional, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult for me to talk about, but I want to talk about it because it's a very, very good film. And even though the film was made, geez, what, somebody 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, these incidents happened earlier than 1990. They just made the film in the 1990s, but all the incidents happened before. And it's really tragic, and it shows you how their reserve really took a fall. I won't say too much about the film, because if you can see it, I strongly advise you to watch it. It's a film of healing, it's a film of addiction. And addiction is something I talk about a lot on these videos that I make. Addiction's not just to drugs, it's not just to alcohol. There's another type of addiction called a process addiction. Usually when people say they're addicted to drugs and alcohol and things like that, that's called a substance addiction. But there's another addiction that's called a process addiction. And really, they both are sharing the same foundation. They both start on the inside. with the mind and difficulty in dealing with things and trauma and things like the boarding school experience and things like that. Domestic violence because of alcohol and those kind of things, that a lot of people have difficulty dealing with it, so they turn to drugs and alcohol. But other people go a different way, but it's still an addiction. They'll go to a religion. They'll get addicted to a religion and go really extreme in that. But they never face the problem. They are using religion as a way to deny that they have problems. And in a lot of religions, especially Christian religions, there's things that they say, like they say, give it to God. And then your slate is clean and your life is new and you're reborn. This sounds really nice, but people, that is too good to be true. And whenever something is too good to be true, that means it's not true. Because to just give it away, it's irresponsibility. Because it's still in you. Just saying, yeah, I give it to you, God. It's not going. It's still inside of you. And if you feel good after that, that's only an emotion and that's only temporary. And the religion is now the drug. And so you use the religion as much as you can to keep that good feeling, but you're still not facing it. You're still denying it. So this is still a problem. And as such, people will fall off the wagon, so to speak. They will go back to it. They will fall because they really haven't faced the problem. And so using religion as a way to deal with things is really not healthy, because the foundation of that is give it to God. And then everything is good. And that really, people, that does not work. It really does not work. Like I said, it's too good to be true. And that means it's false. Doing that, you're not really facing it. You're not really trying to get to your center, because you're using the religion to keep away from it. The way to heal is to go within yourself, not in a book, not in a pipe. The pipe is not a religion either, for those of you who follow the pipe. The pipe is not meant to save you either. You have to save yourself. And that starts by going within yourself. That's by talking about it. And sometimes it's good to have somebody you trust who will listen to you, because this process of talking is getting it out. It's clearing you out. And then whatever emotions come with it, you express them, whether you cry, or you get angry, or you're sad, or you get scared. You express those emotions, and that person will be there to guide you. And there's also others there to guide you too. You just don't see them, but they are there. They want to help you too. So, you have a lot of support when you do this. And then, after the emotions are going, you slowly come back to clarity. And now you bring in your mind. You have to use your heart and your mind together. You don't just use your heart. You don't just use your mind. You got to use them together. And then you start thinking about, how can I turn this into a tool to guide me? So you're transforming this traumatic experience into a helper. So you don't destroy it. You don't get rid of it. You can't. It's inside of you. Even if you try, your body still remembers. Because there are some people who really have difficulties, really extreme, and they give it to God. But the next thing you know, something goes wrong physically. It's because it's still in the body. The body will always remember until you deal with it. So, this is why it's important. This is the way it works. And this is how you tap into that. Believe it or not, the healing power is inside of you. You were born with it. The fact that you are breathing That means you have it inside of you. And we experience things in our lives, traumatic, all kinds of difficulties, and sometimes we get separated from it. So what we're doing in healing, by going within yourself and doing this process that I just explained, is you're just reconnecting to it. And then other things are going to help you with that too. And like I said, sometimes it's good to have somebody you trust who will listen to what you have to say so that you can do this work. This is what life is about. It is a way of living. It's a lifestyle. It's called the healing road. In Lakota, red represents blood and it represents life. This means healing. It does not represent Indians. We are not red people. For those of you who are Indian, look at your skin. Are you red? No, you're not. You're some shade of brown. And for some of you, a really dark brown. You really res guys. But it's just the outer, yeah? What's more important is the inside. So you are not red. This is why our ancestors called this way of life Chankuluta. This is the healing road. Red represents life, the road of life. This means healing. And it means learning from difficulties. And it means enjoying blessings. Because when you learn from difficulties, it transforms into a blessing. So you see, it's all about blessing. There are blessings in difficulty, but you have to work for that. That's our difficulties, like I just explained here. So, in this movie, the movie is called The Honor of One is the Honor of All. This is a Lakota concept, is that when you live this way, what I just explained here, you're honoring yourself. And how you communicate is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So if you honor yourself, naturally you honor all. And that's how we get that expression, the honor of one is the honor of all. And this film, it talks about how corrupt the reservation was, and even the priest that was there, he was getting drunk with the nurse who was supposed to be taking care of the people. It was a Catholic priest, by the way, and he's kind of drunk at the same time too. And on the film, it started with one lady, and she woke up and she had a bad hangover, and she was looking around, and she just thought to herself, I don't want to live like this anymore. This is not living. And so she went to talk to an alcohol counselor who was a good guy. He was non-native, but that doesn't matter. The skin color is not important here. He was a drug and alcohol counselor, and he didn't have any clients because, like I said, the reservation was almost 100% alcoholic. And so she went to him and she said, I want to stop. And she did. And then her husband joined next. And this lady, when she had her first year of sobriety, they had a birthday party for her. Yeah, it was 1 year sober. So they had an announcement that they're having her first sober anniversary birthday party. And it was just those three. But some drunk guys came in and, hey, where's the party? Because they heard party. And so they chased them out. And then the way the film goes is that the tribal members, every first of the month, they would get money from the government. And this money is supposed to be for living expenses, you know, to pay their rent, to buy food and things like that. But they would use the money to buy alcohol. And so the tribal president came up with an idea. He talked to the stores, who were mostly owned by non-natives, and he said, if it's okay with you, He said, I would like to use vouchers instead of money so that the people will come in with vouchers and give it to the store owners. And at the end of the month, the store owners were to give the vouchers to the tribal office, and then the tribal office would send the money to the stores. And the store owners were all happy with it because, see, they were losing business. Nobody was buying anything because they're all buying alcohol. So they were all for this. Well, some tribal members were really pissed off because, they were saying, I can't buy my wine with this voucher. And things like that. And one guy almost killed his father. He wanted his father to give him money to buy wine. His father wouldn't do it, so he beat him up pretty bad. He almost killed him. It's just amazing how rock bottom this situation was. But slowly, people would start to realize they want to stop. Because they were seeing what it was doing to their children. Their children were actually getting drunk. When their parents were passed out, the kids would pick up the alcohol bottles that still had alcohol in it, and they would drink it. And when the tribal president saw this, he saw these kids staggering around. Some of them really were drunk. Some of them were pretending to be drunk. But this was their game. How did it come to this? But he said, anybody who wants to, they would send them away to a rehabilitation center for 6 weeks to get off of the alcohol. Of course, you never do get off alcohol, but you can learn to live with your addiction. Like I said in the beginning here, you can transform it into something that actually helps you. So, that's what these people would do that would go away to an alcohol treatment center. And then when they were away, the tribal council would then fix up that person's house. They would fix things that were broken, replace windows, paint the walls, clean up the place, wash everything. If they needed new furniture, they would bring in some furniture. They would paint the outside. They would fix everything up. They would fix up the yard, clean it up. Everything. So when this person came home, he had a nice home. And then they were starting to think, we want to use the Indian way. But the problem was, even though they had a little bit of their language, there was still some speakers, they didn't have any ceremonial ways anymore. Because they were wiped out because of the Christian brainwashing that happened in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. Nobody knew their ceremonies anymore. So they sent somebody to a Lakota group and asked them for help. Lakota means allies. So this Lakota group went to them and they said, okay, we'll teach you sweat lodge ceremony. And they started learning about what these things mean, the 4 parts of the self, the 4 emotions, the 4 basic emotions, all these things that the medicine wheel represent. They taught this to this Alkali Lake people. And this reservation, it used to be made fun of by other people. They used to call it Alcohol Lake because, like I said, they were almost 100% alcoholic. Anyway, so they adopted the Lakota sweat lodge ceremony and other teachings from our culture to help them with their healing road. And then it really went fast. When the video came out, they were like 96% sober. That sounds funny. Huh? I'm 96% sober. I'm 4% drunk though. So look out. No, I said that wrong. I meant to say the reserve was 96 point something percent sober. 96.7% of the population was sober by the time the video came out. They totally changed. They brought in new things so that people could do something. They brought somebody in to help the people who are artistic to express their artistic talents. They formed a band. They were doing painting and all of these things. They were learning traditional singing and dancing. And the reservation just transformed from just totally 180 degrees. They adopted this as this is our way of life now. This is like the ancestors. And it's just incredible. Now, the guy I told you about, remember I said that he almost killed his father? This guy was one of the first ones to change. And he came to our reservation. And he was the one who was talking about this. To hear him talk, you're going to cry. Because you feel the power in his words. He's speaking from the heart with his mind. And it's incredible. It just moves you. And when they made this film, they didn't use any actors. All the people played themselves. And this guy that I just told you about, he said when he sees this part, it just rips him up. That he can't believe he did that. He had a blackout. He blanked out. A lot of teenagers, they think that's funny. When I was a teenager, there was one guy in our crowd. That guy was drunk every weekend, Friday to Sunday. He went to school in a different town, but every weekend he comes back, gets drunk really bad. And he thinks it's funny. I don't know if he's still alive now, but he thought it was funny to black out, to blank out. Then I went blank, he would say. And I thought, I don't know. I didn't know what that was. And years later, I learned that that's one of the early warning signs of becoming an alcoholic. And this guy was just a teenager. And that only increased over the years. People start out when they're 12, 13 years old, think it's fun, call it partying. And they're really becoming alcoholics. It's really sad. And the homes are not supportive of living a healthy lifestyle. And you see this in this film. But they overcame it. They had a tribal government that was really listening to the people. And they became sober too. So that's why they wanted to make this film to show others that it's possible to change. This whole reservation, almost 100% alcoholic. And it changed. It took some time, but it did change. And it just started with one person. That's all it takes. Somebody said, I don't want this anymore. I want something good. We all deserve something good. What we have is our bodies. We should start there. It's never too late to start. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to start. Even if you already have health problems, it's never too late to start. Things can always get better. It all begins inside of you. You feel bad. This is your heart talking. Now bring in your mind. I want something better. I want something good. This is where it starts. And this film is just incredible. It took one person. That's all it takes. You can do it. And I can too. And I am. We all can do this. The honor of one is the honor of all. Do you see how that concept fit in that film? It started with one person, and it slowly went out, and it influenced another, and then another, and then another, and then another. This is natural law. This is what happens. This is nature. It starts inside of you. It starts inside each one of us. The honor of one is the honor of all. And when they had a huge celebration one time because what happened on this Alkali Lake, other tribes in Canada heard about it. So they sent representatives to them. They said, help us. Isn't that cool? Other tribes were coming to this little tribe saying, help us. Help us with our problem. And so that's how it started. It grew from there. So in the 1990s and the early 2000s, and I don't know if it's still continuing because I haven't heard about them for a long time, but every summer they would have this huge gathering on Alkali Lake Reserve. All these tribes, even some from America, would go up there. They would all support one another, doing inipi ceremonies, sweat lodge ceremonies. And it was all supporting one another, learning from one another. The honor of one is the honor of all. That effect just rippled out to all different tribes, and I think even there's non-native groups that are part of this too, which I think is pretty cool because this is the way to live. It doesn't belong to any race or skin color. It belongs to everybody. So you see, this is how it is. This is how it works. It just starts with an idea, a want. I want to live good. It just starts with that one action, that one thought. Then things start to go in that direction. And you don't see it at first, but it is starting. As soon as you make that decision, it's starting to roll in this new way that you want. Because it's going to help you. It's going to set things up. And sometimes there will be difficulties, but you can learn from that and get wise from that. You get wisdom, knowledge, and then you continue on. This is the way to live. That's why in Lakota we call it Chankuluta, road of life. Road of healing. And healing can come from difficulty. As long as we learn from it, that we face it, that we talk about it, that we express the emotion in a constructive way. That means don't beat anybody up, don't cut down trees. Do some work that needs to be done to work off anger. That's what I mean when I say work it out constructively. If you cry, then you can do that, because there's a time for that. This is how we walk in peace. Men say, Dayan omoniye lo. Women say, Dayan omoniye. Walk in peace. That's what this means. When they finished making this film, they had a celebration. And they honored the woman who started. She was the first one. And on our reservation, on Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation, they have an alcohol treatment center too. And they used to have events during the day for the whole family. And then in evening time, they would have a sobriety dance. And I used to be in a band that we used to play at a lot of them. And the drummer in our band, he was a drug and alcohol counselor on another Sioux reservation. The members of the band, we all lived in different areas, but we were all friends. But we used to play at these sobriety dances, and boy, they were just fun, yeah, because no drugs or alcohol allowed in these events. So when we were there at these events, it was just fun, yeah. People were dancing because they felt good, not because they were drunk. They danced because they were feeling really good. And like I said, all day there's activities for the whole family. And they would have meals too. Lunch, an evening meal. It was really cool. And it's my hope that that kind of thing continues. It's the whole family that's important, not just the one who has the addiction. Because addiction affects everything around them. So these events really are for everybody. Because like I said, the honor of one is the honor of all. Ho mitake epi. Thank you very much for listening. And I will talk to you in the next video. Doksha ake. Until next time. To learn more about Lakota spirituality, I have written a book called Wichocha Otechike. This book also includes Lakota Star Knowledge information. All the videos that I make, which are about Lakota spirituality, Lakota Star Knowledge, and cultural information, are based on this book. This book costs 99 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. And to learn more about Lakota language, I have written a Lakota language book called Chante Etanha Owoglake, Speaking from the Heart. And all my Lakota language videos are based on this book. This book costs 119 American dollars. This price includes the shipping cost as well as a tracking number. I also teach online and I give spiritual consultations as well. If you are interested in any of my services and products, you can send payment via PayPal to my email address, which is hehaka7@yahoo.com. That's HEHAKA, the number 7@yahoo.com. When you send your payment, please include your shipping address and your email address. Ho, lila pilamayelo. Thank you very much.
awali chi iktechchi makhoshi je ogna wasno he chi iktechchi wakpa opta wanu ash ichi ya owaki hishne Omakie, ata techia make Ushimala Iotie wakie Ushimala Lila techi wandake Tohawachi aga קלאן